Hello, everyone. It's time to talk about the number 3 card in the game, Sera. So far this week, we've been doing the top 10 cards in Marvel Snap, and welcome to the top 3. Number 3 is Pool Three's Sera. Sera was in an absolute dogfight. Any of the top 3 could go in any order. Sera is a 5/4, and ongoing cards in your hand cost 1 less to a minimum of 1. Now, Sera has 1,000 ways to play her. She is an absolutely stellar card. She is fairly straightforward in that from the instant you get her, you can play a certain type of deck with certain cards, and then you just update it as you get more access to more and more cards. Any deck that runs Sera, more or less, is a Sera deck. I'm going to feature an early pool one. I just want to note that I'm not doing a Mr. Negative deck for absolutely everything because negative decks start to look the same. But Sera is a very good shout in Mr. Negative and a way to make sure that you're not losing in those, automatically losing in those games you're not seeing negative. Okay, so here's the Sera deck. This is the very first Sera deck I made. You can see that it's running 3 pull 3 cards. They're really easy to ditch. In fact, I would go so far as to say one should absolutely be Hit Monkey, assuming you got the recent season pass, and that Arrow is easily replaced by yet another 2-drop at this point in the game. Crossbones could easily be Jessica Jones. I just happened to open Crossbones very early. This deck is basically... Oh, Nova also fits pretty well because we're running Killmonger. Excuse me. This deck basically wants to get Angela and Bishop out early, then figure out somewhere it can Enchantress or Crossbones, play Sera, and then figure out by reading the board what the opponent is going to be doing and how to go wide around them. It's got Scarlet Witch to deal with extra BS locations. It's got Sentinel to ensure that you always have, assuming you see Sera, a 1-drop to play at the end of the game. Lizard and Enchantress work well together in that Lizard is always a 2/5 if he gets Enchantress. Try and put Lizard on top of one of your opponent's ongoings. And Okoye is a nice little filler card. It may be better as Lizard, but I'm still seeing just enough Luke Cage that Lizard frustrates me. Bishop gets huge because Sera's allowing you to play multiple cards last turn. Killmonger takes out all their little stuff while all your 1-cost stuff is really 2, so that like you have all that power. This is an absolutely stellar deck. This deck evolves over the course of the game. It remains a T1 deck to this day. Sera is the exact borderline for me between Tier 1 and Tier 2. Next episode of Snap Judgments, which we'll be recording next Monday or Tuesday night, will be ourselves and Vin Kelsier trying to create a Snap fan tier list for you all. So we'll see whether it falls into Tier 1 or Tier 2. But I think it is the exact definition of between the two, and that's all thanks to Sera. Over on our Discord, we have a corner of the SnapFan Discord. Our friend Mr. Fixit made Infinite with a Darkhawk. This is the deck that he played. He's recently pulled 3 complete and immediately went and bought Darkhawk. And this is the deck he played to Infinite this season. His first Infinite. Congrats, Mr. Fixit. So, this looks similar to the last deck, right? These aren't terribly different. He's running Zabu because he has Zabu, and look at all these 4-costers. Without Zabu, you probably need to cut Enchantress, but you can comfortably still run 3. The cut, by the way, is for Korg. Rock Slide gives Darkhawk some extra power. Most of the rest of the cards are the same. Nova's here for Killmonger, and Darkhawk is just very often a 4/8, 4/10 to help win a lane. Deck is, again, absolutely stellar. I'd probably be running Rock Slide over Nova in this deck, but I can see it going absolutely either way. You also want to always consider whether Bishop and Mysterio would fit into a Sera deck, because playing those 3 cards for 1 cost, because Mysterio counts as 3 cards played, is +3 power on Bishop. That's absolutely stellar and leads to often like 9-10 power Bishops for the paltry cost of 3. Absolutely stellar. Sera always has a home with Silver Surfer. It is the main Surfer build. Indeed, this was the only way to play Sera for a couple seasons. This version is tuned reasonably well for dealing with the BS that is Shuri's skull. Ideally, you are storming and juggernauting location to lock one down, and then and ideally on 2, you've chosen a different location to lock their red skull out of with Goose. If these 2 cards are comboed, the opponent basically has no win condition. If you can goose one location, then Stormjugger another, that goose location will often be won by a Maximus Surfer, for example, a a Brood Surfer, so on. All of these things will win that location because it's very hard for them to get big enough under the goose to really compete in that game. While the Storm Juggernaut location is completely safe and just wins. The Sera Surfer deck is again one of the best in the game. I'm gonna just say I thought this deck would be dead with the Surfer nerf. Turns out all we needed were some tweaks to the meta, and it's right back to the top. Toxic Sera is yet another way to play the deck. This is honestly not one of my favorites, but it's prevalent and wins enough that it's worth talking about. This version uses Sera fundamentally to make Hazmat and Luke Cage cheaper. And the end of the game, ideally you've got a 4/10 with no downside because of Luke, or a downside that's countered out because of Killmonger Nova combo. And you can then take power away from their whole board, while Luke Cage means you don't lose power. Sera makes this cheap and affordable, while also giving you enough control pieces with cards like Shang-Chi and Enchantress and Maximus's power to help you win other lanes and just be competitive in the game. Again, I don't like this deck as much while Sherry remains unnerfed. However, this deck is at least competitive. Finally, we have the old school miracle by our friend Vin Kelsier, who will again be on the Snap Judgments podcast to do a tier list episode early next week. Make sure you check it out. Hitmonkey is our brand new season pass card. Hitmonkey loves Sera. Hitmonkey as a 1 means that you can play an awful lot of cards on that last turn with Hitmonkey. If you can drop Hitmonkey after dropping cards like Angela and if you can get Bast on Hitmonkey, then drop cards like Angela and Mysterio and Scarlet Witch and Star-Lord and Mojo on that last turn before you drop Hitmonkey, you can put like a 2/8, 2/10 Hitmonkey with like an 8 to 10 power Bishop, killing a lot of their board with Killmonger, so on and so forth. This deck is going to be absolutely sweet, and I urge you to try it. Sera is the number 3 card in Marvel Snap, and is extremely versatile in playing a lot of powerful decks that are all near the top of the game. If you would like to see some more ways to build Hitmonkey with and without Sera, please make sure you check Tuesday morning's video. Tuesday morning Snap Take is live building around Hitmonkey. Thanks for watching. Please like and sub, and we'll see you tomorrow for the number 2 card in all of Marvel Snap.